Hello guys, I think it's recording. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Vijeta and today I want to talk about a favorite book of mine, and it is called Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. And the thing is that I have read that book quite a lot of times. For instance, I read it first when I was like 19 years old. After that, I read it again, more or less. I listened to it on LibriVox, narrated by Elizabeth Klett. And after that, I went on to listen to its BBC radio drama, um, audio drama that has been performed by Tom Burke and other members of the cast, which is available on Audible. And after that, I listened to its rendition by Juliet Stevenson, yes, the Hollywood actress. And all the times that I've heard Jane Eyre, it has never failed to surprise me or amaze me by its beauty and its richness. In fact, today I bought another copy of Jane Eyre. Let me show you. It's a fingerprint classic. Yes, this is the book. It's quite pretty, you know. See, I mean, I know it's kind of an indulgence, but the thing is, I wanted to buy it because it looked very pretty, and I went to my local bookstore and I bought it. And the thing is that I am kind of in love with the Victorian aesthetic, and the way the books were written in those times, they were quite ornamental, quite flowery. The language was quite ornamental and quite flowery. And it takes time to get invested in those characters, because of the fact that it is quite difficult to delve into these books. Uh, it's not very easy to get into a classic. You really have to, have that kind of a discipline or devotion to get into it. But once you get into it, it becomes easier, because once you read a Jane Eyre or Pride and Prejudice, and after that, if you go on to read a contemporary book, for instance, if you read Dan Brown or Margaret Atwood, which are actually very deep books in themselves. But the thing is, when you read those books, the thing is that you kind of feel it more easier to understand because the language is more contemporary. And it's like your brain goes through a workout, when strenuous workout, when you read these kind of books. And then when you go and read contemporary novels, even if you go and read some children's books are made to read. They are like simple books, but if you go and read some Agatha Christie or some simple young adult books, the pleasure of reading them increases. Although I have this notion, I mean, I feel that the more you put effort into reading a book, the more you go through that pain of understanding the book, of going through the book, the more rewarding it becomes, because you are taking more pain to get invested in that book. So the characters remain with you for quite a long time. That is what I think. And Jane Eyre, I mean, even if I talk about the BBC radio drama collection, it's beautiful because of all the background noises and the opening of doors, the horses' hooves, the carriage doors are opening, the background music, the piano, the soft humming of the piano, all these things, they add to the richness of listening to the BBC radio drama collection. Or if you want to listen to the whole unabridged book, you have a free audiobook which is available on LibriVox, read by Elizabeth Klett. And if you have an Audible subscription, which is I think 200 rupees per month, 210 rupees per month, you get the Juliet Stevenson rendition in the included section. So you don't have to, wait, I won't say that. You don't have to spend a credit in order to buy that audiobook. Apart from that, I know there are criticisms regarding Rochester and Jane's love story, some red flags, Rochester being a Byronic hero, him being impulsive, him being manipulative in some ways. But I think apart from that, like there are numerous interpretations. But apart from that, Jane Eyre provides a study of human character. Its richness of dialogue is such that how many times you read it, your interpretation of the book will change according to your age, according to your situation, according to your mindset. So if you are a 19-year-old teenager, you might be swept by the whirlwind romance of Rochester. And if you are like a 28-year-old adult, you might see some of the red flags, or pink flags these days people say. I'm not sure about that, but the thing is that interpretations and contemplation of the same text can be is something which gives you a good mental exercise, and it kind of tells you about yourself as well. When I was 19, I read Jane Eyre. I used to think that it's like one of the greatest romances of all time. But recently, right now, when I have been listening to Jane Eyre, I kind of feel that maybe, just maybe, Rochester has some peculiarities which are not to be excused. And Jane is quite young, whatever might be the case. I mean, Jane is quite meditative. She is quite how to say it, she's quite defensive when it comes to her virtue. Like, she wants to protect herself, she doesn't want to do anything dishonorable. She's a Christian woman, and all these things aside, she still is an 18-year-old woman, 18-year-old girl. In fact, she hasn't seen much of the world, and what can I say, her prefrontal cortex is not even developed. So yeah, there are things about Jane that are yet not developed. And Rochester, being a 37-year-old man, a married man in fact, who has traveled the world, has had mistresses, um, thinking about it makes me quite not quite comfortable as I was when I was 19. So yeah, that is something that can be speculated upon, debated about. And maybe Jane Eyre is not a romantic tale, but it is more of a journey of a girl, a Victorian era 19-year-old girl who encountered to whom the advances of a 37-year-old man was deemed to be appropriate, and it was celebrated. And in some ways, women did not have much choices. Women in the sense, women of Jane's class, like the working class or the low middle class women. And here Jane is an orphan with no prospects. She has basically spent her life in a charity institution, and she's just a governess. And her treatment by Rochester's friends was not very warming. So might it be so that Jane is so insecure about all these things that that sometimes her judgment is clouded regarding Rochester. Like, she thinks that Mr. Rochester is the best she could get. I mean, I'm making it sound very contemporary, but Mr. Rochester is the only man who has the best of all virtues, and he is the man for me. He is the one who will understand me. And it kind of makes me think that had Jane been in the contemporary times, her choices wouldn't have been so limited. she might have had a more appropriate relationship with a more age appropriate person. And yeah, I mean, she is 19 and he is 37. And with regards to prefrontal cortex development and other things, she is yet a child. So yeah, these are my thoughts regarding their relationship. Other than that, the beauty of the novel, the dialogues, and the language that has been written, it shows how much work has been put into it. And the wide array of emotions one feels while reading this book. You are transported to the moors of Yorkshire, and it's pretty, it's beautiful. If you want to read the book for the experience of it, Jane Eyre is a pretty book. And of course, Rochester and Jane's romance is a debatable issue, but yet it is worth reading about. It is worth speculating about. It is worth debating about. So that's that. Other than that, I I was reading about, when I was listening to the death scene of Mrs. Reed, the complexities of human character, wherein a person who feels guilty about something that they have done, but yet they are not able to open their hearts completely to the person they have wronged, shows complexities of human character. A person can be rigid, yet they can feel guilty. Like the various, a whole spectrum of human character can be is present in this book. Whether it be Mrs. Reed, whether it be Georgiana or Eliza. Georgiana being the beauty, the beauty queen and very air-headed, and Eliza being very meticulous and very disciplined. Both of them so different, so widely different from their mothers and from themselves. And John Reed, who died due to drinking and gambling, which is a reference to Branwell, the Bronte sisters' brother, who died in a similar fashion. Also, Bessie, the servant who used to scold Jane a lot, but later on she confesses that her mother wouldn't like her own children to be in Jane's position. So the hypocrisies of elders towards children, that is something that is quite interesting. Like a lot of people speculate upon Jane Eyre as being a fiction about a young girl's journey into the world, about romance and stuff like that. But very few discussions have been held about the treatment of children in this book. How children of lower station were mistreated by their elders, children with no protection of their parents, and children who had no beauty or charm or wit, who were not entertainers in a way, were looked down upon. Because in a paragraph in chapter 1, I don't know which chapter, but what was her name, the servant, Bessie's partner, she was saying that people would have pitied Jane had she been pretty, beautiful like Georgiana. But as she's plain and simple, we can't pity her, which is quite, when you hear it, which is quite ridiculous and quite disheartening. And the way Jane was treated unjustly, the way she was never heard, never seen, never loved, which is the reason why in the later part of the book, Jane says to herself that the crumbs of Mr. Rochester's affection can soothe her soul. Like, she doesn't want his whole devotion, she just wants the crumbs, because she believes that she deserves a little bit of love, because that is what she has got her entire life. Like, she never got love from her aunt or her cousins. Even in Gateshead, she just was loved because of her merits. And apart from Miss Temple and Helen, she didn't get much love. So the first person whom she sees and who is civil enough to her, she falls in love with that person. Like, one can actually talk about the whole child psychology of a person using Jane Eyre, and this kind of applies to our today's in today's even in every generation. You can say that if a person has grown up with the thinking that they deserve a little bit of love, they would keep thinking in that fashion, I suppose. I mean, I'm not a psychologist, but yeah. Continuing with my discussion, I'm sorry. Yeah, so I'm not a psychologist, but yeah, this is something that is prevalent, which is a topic of a debate in today's um, conversations. So Jane Eyre can be one of those texts which can be used as reference for studying child psychology. And these are my thoughts. Even with Rochester, I mean, not much of Rochester's life has been given in this book, but one can see a lot of things coming together in the concluding chapters, and the patterns of it, the seeds of it, are present in their past life. And all in all, I think much speculation can be done, and in 10 years, I might have some different views about Jane Eyre. I might have some different ideas about Jane Eyre, or I might return back to my 19-year-old self. I mean, who knows? So, yeah, these were my thoughts. And if you liked my review, you can give me a like, and I will meet you all in the next video. Thank you.